and the visuals are all 3D computer-generated animation. The goal is to give the impression that the graphical instruments are playing the music you hear. The music drives the computer animation, not the other way around. In order to do this, we run the MIDI files through a bunch of custom software which analyzes each note in its place and time and determines how each instrument element should move to appear to be playing the music. MIDI, spelled M-I-D-I, stands for Musical Instrument Digital Interface. It lets synthesizers and computers talk to each other and specify exactly when each note happens, how loud it is, which instrument it plays on, and various other musical characteristics. When a synthesizer receives MIDI signals through its cable, it produces a sound for each given note. And when we take MIDI files of those notes and route them into some other piece of software, we can do all kinds of interesting, unconventional stuff with that data, such as use it to drive the motion of graphical instruments. And that's how Animusic is done in a nutshell. I should mention that this triple neck electric guitar here is the most complex instrument on the entire video album. It's actually a combination of a 2-string bass, a 3-string guitar, a 4-string guitar, a pipe organ-like flute thing, a set of bass laser guns on the left firing out those blue lasers, and a wrist-fired laser bundle gun firing the green lasers out of the right, all in one, and not to mention the plasma ring sort of blue bass thing in the intro. It's complex partly because it's several instruments rolled into one, and partly because of how they're combined. In particular, the electric guitars are each controlled by their own robot hand, yet they share a common pick mechanism down below. So producing this particular element set meant creating a third virtual instrument out of the 2 guitar parts, and that third virtual instrument was the pick player down below. So we had up top a 3-string melodic line guitar fingering method, that's the middle fretboard, and then on the right a 4-string bar chord fingering method, and then down on the bottom a 7-string picker that knew where each of the 7 strings were and how to pick both melodic lines and to play power chords. And that was all done in software, of course, through changing lots of parameters and having different parameter sets live at different times. By the way, this is probably my favorite shot on the entire video album here, where the vibes play and the bass, drums, snare, and ride do this cool pattern against each other. I really like this part. Let me mention that the static noise you hear at the beginning of the introduction when the amps are first turned on, it's not a problem with your TV or stereo, and it's not a bad mix. It's not a bad sound encoding either. It's actually sound effects for noisy amplifiers and high voltage lights and lasers, etc. And this may be obvious to you, but some people have pointed out with some concern that I may have a problem with my mix. And be that as it may, the static sounds are actually intentional. And, by the way, the same is true of the static sound effects at the beginning of the last piece, harmonic voltage.